Okay, right now we're drilling holes for the stitch and glue. We'd previously marked out the distance from the edge of the plywood after mating the two sides together. And drilling the hole, we marked every 5 inches where it's supposed to be for the stitch mark, or where the holes for the stitching are. It's kind of repetitive. Okay, at this point, we are running the copper wire stitches through this thing, which doesn't seem to fit very well. Where's those holes? The holes going all the way through, then back up. I'm not tightening them totally, I'm just getting them ready because we're going to do the keel here in a minute too. I'll tell you what, it keeps coming out further. Push it back after when I go to tighten the stitches. And there's a note here that the bottom 7 are put in, and then we drill these holes up here. So that's good for the moment. Stop. Okay, we've got these in to hold the stem in. Like I said, they're not tightened up. And then we match the keel up, and we're going to start putting them in down the keel. So, hang loose here. And
okay.
This is actually above the keel. The keel is only like 3/4 of an inch. Of course, naturally, the holes don't always want to be found. Pull that out that way just a little bit.
How would you suggest I do that?
Very carefully, like that. Whoa. Okay, you got that.
Wait a minute, my hand's ready.
Oh, yeah. We're supposed to be drilling these holes in the keel at this point. So I need a hole for the keel. And pull it out to the line. So basically we are stitching and gluing is we're sewing the hole together with the copper wires, which we will take out, or at least cut off and file down, sand down, something to that effect. We have one hole drilled and putting the second one in. Come on, it's straight shot through there. Okay, one more and you've got the idea, I'm pretty sure. Okay, enough of that. It's repetitive to the end. Okay, in this particular boat, the keel comes down to here, and then we mount the stern post with the skeg attached. And they say to go ahead and attach these down here, and we're going to stand the hull up here and stick the bulkheads in. So do not wire these holes here if you're doing a Wharram catamaran. But you probably won't have that. In any case, this will move as the hull gains a Polynesian canoe type shape. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Here we're proceeding to stitch the bulkheads into the hull, starting with bulkhead number 3, working forward to bulkhead number 6, then bulkheads 2 and 1 in that order. We tighten the wire ties to the bulkheads. Then we tighten the wire ties from the stem along the keel to the stern post. At this point, it's looking like a boat hull. We begin tacking with epoxy.
Right there.
Along the keel and stems and bulkheads between the stitches. You wait until the next day and remove the wire ties. We glass the 2 forward compartments, and then we start installing the bunk bearers and hull stiffener pieces, drilling holes and epoxying them into this place.
Okay, we're at the back of the hull here. This is the first bulkhead, and these are the hull stiffeners that we've got in here. We're going into the second compartment, bunk bearers. This is a storage compartment. Here's actually the sleeping compartment here with bunk bearers and more hull stiffeners. Hull stiffener and bunk bearer. This is the 4th compartment. Here's the 5th compartment. This is, you can see the butt blocks here where we joined the pieces of plywood together. And that's the storage for the cabin. Here's where the hatch will be for storing lines and the anchor. And this is the part we've worked on so far today, was putting epoxy and filler along the stem and along the keel. And then we put heavy tape, 4-inch wide, 2 layers of it there on the keel and on the stem. And that's what we got done today.
The large epoxy filler fillets and glass tape along the keel provides great strength and ties the hull together. We had cooler temperatures and covered the fresh epoxy work, put a heater under the tarp and to enable the epoxy to cure.
Okay, we just wanted to give you a little bit more information on the structure inside the various compartments of the hull. Right now we're at the stern of the boat. I wanted to show you where the hull stiffeners are. Basically, we have epoxied and taped the keel and up the aft stem so far. We still have fiberglassing, or rather fiberglass taping and filleting the seam for the aft bulkhead here. This is a watertight compartment from the hull, or from the cabin itself. There will be a deck inspection plate where Vanna over here is showing where it goes, and that'll keep this an airtight chamber. Okay.
Now we are in the compartment just forward of the airtight chamber. This is considered storage. This is access to the cockpit here. This is a bunk bearer. These are all bunk bearers in this particular compartment, and all this information where they're located is included in the plans, and you mark these onto the hull when you are lofting the hull, and you have to do it on each one of the hulls. This is a butt block that kind of, it never mind. This is storage down here. There will be a plywood board across all this, and part of it will remove so that you can get access to it. Part of it will stay permanent. We still have to fillet all over this and this. And I think that's about all I can tell you about that compartment.
Okay, this is leaving the other two compartments. And this is part of the actual sleeping quarters in the cabin. The other half of it is over here. We have the bunk bearers and hull stiffeners in this area as well. More storage will be in the bottom down here. The center panel. There'll be 3 panels here. 2 of them are affixed permanently. They all help stiffen the hull and provide support. Naturally, on every one of these compartments, we've got more filleting and fiberglass taping, and then we'll finish it with
epoxy.
There'll be 3 coats of epoxy in here.
Coating.
So this is a repeat of the other compartment. The water line is actually just below where the bunk bearers are. So we've got it like a 14-inch draft. Okay, go.
Now we're in the forward storage compartment, forward of the actual cabin. We have a solid bulkhead here that we will be filleting around both sides of it. These are the bunk bearers. There will be a plywood floor in here. One of them will be removable. One piece will be removable. The other will be stationary. We have already epoxy filleted and taped the keel. We will fillet around the bed blocks. The deck at this part of the hull will be solid, and they'll be fitting into these deck stringers. Will be fitting into these V-notches
All the way forward.
all the way forward, and the actual cabin top will be fitting into these notches.
Okay, now we're in the forward hatch compartment. There will be a deck hatch here. There is a solid bulkhead behind it. This is a solid bulkhead in front with a deck inspection plate going into the flotation chamber up front. They're designed to prevent water intrusion should the hull be hold. Yeah, say that 12 times. In any case, more hull stiffeners. We have glass the inside of this for a little further strength.
And this one.
And that one up there should, for whatever reason, something hit us hard up there.
Not included in the plans, but we decided to do it anyway.
Yeah, and this one's a little further along than the rest of these because we've already taped the seams and filleted them underneath the whatever
Hull
that
stiffeners.
is, the hull stiffener. We put a piece of tape there. More tape on the bulkheads, and up here in the forward airtight compartment, flotation compartment. It's a lot of epoxy supporting the stem, and heavier fiberglass tape going down the stem over to the hull too. That's all. Okay, here we've got a demonstration of how our friend Lonnie Black works, how he can complete 10 boats in the time it takes us to do one. Okay. The first things we did was just wet out where all the corners are. Then we we put filler up the corners and wet out underneath the bunk bearers here. So that then, after the filler is in there in the corners, we put the fiberglass tape down there, over there, under there, all this. And then we went back over the tape with just straight epoxy. And there's several steps in just this one little compartment. And naturally, there's a lot more to go after that. Okay, now we start encapsulating the interior with epoxy. Put 3 coats on total. And then, who knows what we'll do. I'm sure somebody does. There is a specific order that this stuff's supposed to be done in. That's why they have plans. Helps you out. Okay,